Should refeeds occur on training days or rest days? I know that refeed days or higher carb days are important when dieting, but when should they be? Should they be on select? Should they be on the select an area to comment on heaviest day of training, on a rest day, or does it even matter at all? I took the last one. You guys go.
Berto, you go.
Well, with refeeds, I think most of us here, we do it. And most of us, not just like 3D Muscle Journey, but I think most of like the world at this point, it's like multiple day refeeds. So it's like, hey, you can do both now. And, so it doesn't have to be one or the other. But I think the one where I have the most, pushback is going to be doing it on the day off. But to me, it's like that makes, if I had to pick one, I'd say doing it on a day off just makes a whole lot more sense, because it's like, so you had a little extra food and then you went to go beat the crap out of yourself because you're supercharged. So you feel supercharged at least for a few hours, right? So if I had to pick one, this is, I guess, one of those times where you can kind of like frame it that way, right? I'd probably choose it on days off. So typically, I try to have, if we're doing 2 days of refeed, which I'd say basically all my athletes have at least that 48-hour refeed. It's like one of those days, it's like, okay, we can train, but then the other day is going to be a day where it's like, if possible, could we also like not do a whole lot of cardio as well? So recovery, I think that's what's always like kind of falling, behind a little bit during your contest prep. So why not, take a day where you don't make the situation worse because you feel supercharged, and try to close in the gap a little bit. So if I had to pick one, I'd say off days. What do you guys think?
I think for me personally, like I'm with you on that, because most of the time I'm strategically placing refeeds on non-training days for the recovery aspect. Let's fuel up, because basically, if you think about it, let's say you're dieting for 5 days. By the end of that, you're tapped out, you're depleted, and if let's say you have a little bit more food before a training session, the question is how is it really getting digested in time to actually do something for that training session? So, I mean, if you're doing a refeed on a training day, then it's almost like, is that extra food actually going towards the training? Does it have the time to actually get in your system and digest, and you're utilizing it during your training? I think if anything, it's more psychological. You think, oh shit, I got this food in me, I'm energized. So to me, it's like, it makes more sense. Hey, just put it on the back-to-back refeed days where they're non-training days. You're going to fill your glycogen up. You're going to have time to digest it, process it, and it's going to be there waiting for you. If you're refeeding on weekends, come Monday, you train again, you're ready to go. Like first couple of days of the week, you're charged, get some good production there, and make your harder training days like right after those refeeds.
Towards the tail end of a prep, I'll even have a person take 2 consecutive days off, and like especially if they're like lean, and it's like, let's just like eat up.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they think of refeeds when they're dieting as kind of a negative, like, oh, this is going to slow my progress down. It's actually the opposite. It's like when you have a refeed, you should probably see your body weight go up after refeed. If it's not going up, that means you could eat more, because you need to basically fill back up and get the glycogen stored up. You're just going to perk up physically, mentally, and emotionally. You're going to be re-energized. I think of it like if you're a race car driver and you've driven 100 laps, everything's wore down. Tires, gas is getting low, engine's kind of running a little funky. Pull that car in and basically get a pit stop, recharge, and then get back out there. So I think, for me, like I said, if I had to pick one over the other, it would definitely be like non-training days.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing to add except for like the pit stop. Imagine trying to change the tires while the car's still running.
Yeah.
Right, still out there on the track, you're trying to change tires. That's kind of what it's like when you stick that high day on like your hardest day of the week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, just to add and put the cherry on top of what you guys have said, I mean, ultimately, it really doesn't matter in terms of weight loss. Like in terms of weight loss and fat loss, it really doesn't matter, because I love watching the numbers. It's amazing to me how if I program somebody to be 14,000 calories a week, and they're on top of it. You look at the weekly numbers, it's 14,000 a week, 14,000, 14,100, 13,900. Even if they really screw it up and on one day they have a gigantic refeed, and they just binge, but yet at the end of the week they were able to like rob the calories and still make it like 14,200. Yeah, there'll be a weight spike the week after, but at the end of 10 weeks, they end up losing the weight that we wanted. And it's amazing to me that the body works that way in terms of like the spikes and dips really doesn't matter. It's the consistency over time that really truly matters. So with that being said, if it doesn't matter really for weight loss, we got to do whatever we can to maximize recovery, maximize gym time that we can actually spend productively. And more importantly, a lot of times I want people to adhere to the protocol. And even if you feel like you tremendously benefit from having that on your hardest day, if you can't adhere to the protocol and you can't execute, stick that on a day where you can, even if you feel like it's suboptimal. A lot of times, yeah, we can get the best of both worlds. Let's get 2 days in. Let's make that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever. But make it so that you can adhere to it. And if your weakest point is on Friday night, when you got to go out with the guys and gals, put your refeed on the Friday night. I really don't care. I just want you to adhere to the protocol. And if that's your weakest point and you can't adhere to the protocol, set yourself up for success and put it on that day, if no other reason than just for adherence.
Yeah, social settings. I mean, I do that too with people. Like if there's like some type of special date night or, birthdays and stuff like that, I'll maneuver some things like, hey, let's make this a refeed day and maybe even give them a little extra. I had one athlete that just had a birthday. So we had a 3-day refeed. So instead of 2 days, we say, hey, we're gonna have 3. The birthday was a larger refeed, and then the 2 that followed were just a little bit smaller than our normal ones. But after the 3 refeed days, it all kind of basically balanced out to kind of the norm. And that way, stress levels are low. Hey, I don't have to go into my birthday like feeling restricted. I don't have to stress over, hey, I'm going over certain numbers or whatnot. So there's a little more flexibility and freedom there, and a little bit of excess food. And this person, let's more context, is deeper into the prep, so we're on the leaner side. So this extra food is actually a positive and a benefit, especially prior to those three refeeds. We're on low days. We extended the low days out because in order to make this happened for her birthday. So she was coming off, I think like 6, 7, 8 low days in a row. So she was tapped out by the end of that. You're ready to basically get some food in her and fill back out and get the energy going again. So yeah, that's basically kind of my thoughts on all that.
On that note, when you liberate yourself from like having to have it on training days, actually small print with that, I think one of two things can happen is like some people will see some bigger spikes in body weight, so just kind of be prepared for that. But then sometimes there's people who just collect a lot of edema from their training, so sometimes you might even like lose weight. So kind of the same, but expect bigger spikes than your usual. But when you liberate yourself from having to have it on a training day, like what you guys have said, it's like, what if you have an exam? What if there's this one day you just really need your brain? It's like, you can throw it on that day because it doesn't have to be a training day anymore. So when we talk about flexible dieting, it's like, hey, when you know the rules, like you can make them, work for you a little better